and welcome back to Jeff Walker's Discussions. Today we're going to talk about how music can inspire and create a story. Authors get inspired by music and vice versa for songwriters. An example is 1984 by the Eurythmics. That was based on George Orwell. And then there's the White Rabbit song from Jefferson Airplane. So there's a number of people that get inspired, pardon me, for the music. And I'm no different in my books. An example is my book, Your Service is Required. That was out of the blue, but when I was driving in my car, I was listening to The Weeknd with Blinding Lights. And when I heard his music, something in me started imagining the music video for his thing, and it came to me as like this sort of post-apocalyptic robot dystopia kind of like thing. And I actually envisioned the entire the whole thing was like a music video in my mind, and I could see clips like from the movie, if I had made this a movie, and I knew what the characters were doing, and there were snippets, and it was just incredible to me, because in my mind, it was just, I could generate these things, and that's what some music does to me. I'd be sitting there listening, and I can create like music videos almost of future books, or kind of like little mini movies in my mind that I splice together, and I can see these things happening. That's just the creativeness of some authors like myself. I have a bit of an artistic background, so I have this ability to visualize things that I want. And so, So, and even in Professor Dark and Miss Shadow's books, The Haunted House on Henry Street, I was inspired by another song that led me to that, and so on and so forth. I mean, it was when I hear a piece of music and it can trigger something right away, much like any music can. So, for the most part, music can influence writers. It could be from science fiction to just general fiction, even nonfiction, really. I mean, some people just want the music there to help write. And some writers can have music playing when they're writing so that it helps to influence their writing. And that's good and well. And I sometimes do that, but sometimes not. Depends on what I'm working on. If I'm really concentrated on something, I don't have any music playing, because I know I'm trying to listen to the inner thoughts of my mind. Whereas if I know what I'm going to write, I'll just put in some background music, something non-vocal. In terms of Your Service is Required, I did have that play a few times, so that it inspired me to keep going. But then it gets repetitive, and then you want to turn it off and just rest your brain from that ongoing music repeating. But like I said, I don't really play a whole lot of music when I'm writing. I know a lot of writers do. I know a lot of authors like having music as they're playing, as they're typing away on the computer, and writing their stories. But not me. I don't. I need the silence sometimes to hear what I'm trying to think. And so music, it can instigate something to a degree, and it can inspire visual representations in your mind to help guide you in the story building process. And musicians, they tend to read books and get like little anecdotes from the books and put it into their music. And I mentioned a few. I'm sure there's many others. Some of them are like influenced by Star Wars. just 2001 and all this other stuff. And I'm sure that it helps their creative process too. I mean, they read the books, they see the movies based on them, and they draw in some inspiration from that. Even like Lord of the Rings, a lot of the music goers were told, and they read the books and were inspired to write the theme for some of the movies. And oddly enough, so was the Rhythmics star. What's her name? Annie Lennox. She was helping in doing the final melody for Return of the King. So books have the power to inspire others, and vice versa. So that's a good synergy, I think. Now, when I wrote Your Service is Required, I tried my best to keep it within the confines of what I had visioned, and for the most part, I did, because, like I said, when I hear the music, the video of this book just plays in my head. Like I if it was a movie, I would see these snippets, and they're all edited together in a different way to each part of the music area. And it really did help inspire me. All I had to do was fill in the extra scenes, really. And it's amazing that I have this ability to do so, and I'm not, sitting here patting myself on the back about being so good now. In some ways, I do feel I am creative in some ways, and not so much in others. My mind tends to go faster than my hands will try to produce. That's why I was like, when I was in graphic arts, I was trying to start a comic book. The problem was that I couldn't draw fast enough to keep up with my thoughts. I would get bogged down on penciling, and then I had to do the inking, and then I had to do the story. I had to put in the word bubbles. Then I had to do the coloring, and as one person trying to do an entire book on their own was not easy. And somebody once asked me, why are you trying to do this by yourself? And I said, well, I think it might be an ego thing, because when I'm creating something, I want to have all my creative experiences on it. I still do covers for my books, and as much as I wish I could give it to somebody else to do, I just can't. I like the idea of creating my own book covers. Sometimes I do it in advance to help me visualize. Like I said, I'm a visual person. I try to keep it within that tone. It's something to help me visual and try to help me inspire me. So I'll create a book cover well in advance. Is that a smart thing? I don't know. I could go back and redo some covers, which I probably should, just to keep it fresh. But for the most part, music really sets the tone for everything. If you are a writer or an author, and you have to sit there in the moment and listen to the songs that you love, and it could help you inspire to write something. People don't often think that music can inspire, but it does. It doesn't even have to be like a pop artist or rock tune or anything like that. It can be like even just a symphony or a soundtrack or something that'll just help push that image along. And so that's what my mind does. So, like I said, Your Service is Required was based on that song. And I'm sure I've thanked The Weeknd somewhere. I think I did thank him on his Twitter account or wherever. Did I expect an answer? No, I did not. I'm sure it was just me gushing about it. But I sat there and was like, well, it was nice to know. But yeah, some songs can trigger a lot of things. So music, that's what got me going into some of the books, because when I hear a tune, I start to visualize the book I was trying to think of. And it just starts to play itself out. Like I said, I can make a music video in my head, and I'll have it all. Like Professor Dark and Miss Shadow. That had a great song, and now it just escapes me of what that song was. Yeah, sometimes I remember it, sometimes I don't. I can't remember what the tune was now. All I remember is the visual of Professor Dark and Miss Shadow in snippets of books, of the ones I've done, the short story area, and then some of the future novels I'm thinking of. But the one scene I saw was of Dark in a bluish hallway with tentacles reaching out behind him in slow motion as he's trying to walk away. And I think I put that into the Haunted House on Henry Street short story, which is available on Audible and Kindle. And it's also in the collective book that's available as well. The Mysterious World of Miss Shadow, or The Mysterious World of Professor Dark Miss Shadow. I hope I can get back onto writing that novel, Professor Dark Miss Shadow. The problem is that it takes a long time to write that. It's an introductory novel for the both of them and a few others characters. And like I said, your mind tends to wander a bit, and I think that's the problem with that story. I don't think I'll make another novel, a full novel of Professor Dark again. It doesn't work for him for some reason. Novellas seem to be his thing. I really think that's where I should go with Professor Dark Miss Shadow, because I prefer that they're shorter and more tight, and they're meant to be just snippets into his life. And so this novel I'm still trying to write, still trying to generate. Here it is, almost 3 years later. I still have not produced this novel for it, which I'm sure is frustrating anybody that's been waiting for the full novel to come out. Because when I first did the Professor Dark and Miss Shadow stories, I kept saying that this was out of Book Zero. And Book Zero was the completed collective book. But then I kept saying that there was going to be a full novel, which I'd put a little chapter reveal in there. And now it's been how long? And I'm really just kicking myself now for not finishing that book. But, it's such a long process. For doing that kind of book, it's harder for me. Trying to explain certain things, or getting characters into certain areas. So many characters you have to think about. So, how far along am I in that book? Man, I don't know if I'm even... I think I'm halfway. Should be halfway. But I've been focused on other books right now. And so I'm almost finished the Jungle Planet. I did finish it. I just need to tighten up some story areas, and then I'm going to edit that book and edit it and edit it and edit it. And then I'm going to release it sometime between March and April. I'm still not sure about doing a pre-order. I did that for my Massive Planet book, but it didn't really generate a whole lot. And I'm not sure if I want to go with Amazon again, because Amazon's becoming, I don't know, they're rubbing me the wrong way. A lot of authors are being ticked off of what Amazon is doing to them. They're getting very little for their books. And the whole Kindle, Kindle reader thing, the KDP. I mean, it's just I don't know. I tried to put it on to that service for a chapter, for people to read chapter by chapter, and you get paid like increments of cents, which really doesn't amount to much, not unless you get like a ton of readership. And I mean a ton of readership in order for it to be successful. And some have done that. Most of them are romantic novels or erotic novels, which, I praise you guys for having such dirty thoughts and so many dirty people coming to read them. But my wife was like, "Why don't you write one?" And I'm like, "Well, I can't think like that. It's just, it's not in me to be that filthy. I don't know." Maybe a song will introduce me to that. No, I don't know. It's just it's not plausible at this time. Or ever. I'm really not interested in. And I know that people make money off of sex. It's just unbelievable. However, science fiction still hasn't gotten its fair share. Some books are being platformed, on top more than others. I've noticed that a lot more that are being looked at are ones that are traditional publishing or indie published with a company that's produced them. Self-publishers, no love there. I don't see like half the books that are self-published getting any respect whatsoever. There are a few, but for the most part, no. A lot of these publishing houses, they want to stifle that. They don't want self-publishers to succeed in some areas. They want them to be incorporated or told how to write their novel. And I just can't do that. I'm not a person that likes being told what to write and what not to write. And it's like that for comic books. If I went to work for DC Comics, I would be miserable because I wouldn't have stuck to what they wanted. I have my own thoughts, my own ideas, which is probably wouldn't have worked. Even though I did do samples for art for them, I never sent it off just because, I just know I was going to get rejected no matter what I did, because it's like, you're not good enough, maybe that's just the egotisticalness in me. But, yeah, I mean, that was my life a long time ago. When I was in my 20s, I was really gung-ho about being a comic book artist. That's kind of dwindled now. I'm more of doing books, science fiction mainly, and other thriller novels, but, I mean, it's, for the most part, that's where I'm at now. And you know what? I've honed my craft a lot more since then. My storytelling ability has gotten a lot better, and I just know how to write characters, so I've got no problem with that. So, and if I listen to music and it strikes me the right way, I will get out a great idea and just write. So music really does help to influence me and other authors a whole lot. It's just, that's all part of the entertainment, right? So I'm just telling you about where my idea came from for your services required. It was, based on a piece of music that I heard in the car one day. And mainly that's how it happens most of the time, because I've got a long drive to work and I listen to music. And, I'll just visualize something. And, and that's how I am. That's how I think. That's my process. I can visualize things, visualize books, like as if they're mini movies in my mind with the background music and the sweeping drama arcs and stuff like that. So it gets. I do have a creative thought process. I'm kind of like the writer and the artist in me combining to create something for you. So I hope you do go and read some of these books that I've mentioned. My other books, The Long Lost War, you know, the Massive Planet. All these ideas. The Massive Planet was actually a comic book idea I had once. And then I just kind of turned it into a novel. Originally it was going to be a short story, but then I expanded it to a novel platform. Much like the Jungle Planet, it was going to be a short novella, but then it became a novel. And I'm going to get back onto writing that. I'm going to finish that. I'm going to send it off, and I hope you guys go and read it. Actually, the story is available on Royal Road right now. Of the story sharing process, I just put it on there to test the audience, and I'm getting some good reviews and some good favorable stars. And once I'm completed it, I'll just like take down some of the chapters and just leave it hanging for a lot of people. I'm sorry to do that, but I mean, I want to create a book and not have it up for free for all to see. Well, for now it's free up there until I'm done completing the novel, and maybe I'll do the rest for some of the other books. And I do have a few other titles on there. I was putting it on Wattpad, but then I decided no. I think Wattpad, I'm not generating the audience, and more like Wattpad is more for fan fiction and romance, YA garbage. I just how they're getting so much fanfare is beyond me. It's mainly millennials, I guess. I don't know. I just, I don't know. I'll think of something I can do, and maybe I'll produce more now that I've got the music in me. No, I don't know. So that's where I'm at. Music does influence writing a lot. And vice versa, I said. Because you got a lot of music artists that are using books to create their music. And I've seen an author create an entire album based off her book. And I forget what her name was, but she had this entire album she created herself, but for her fantasy novel. And I thought, wow, that's great that she is an artist of music and an author, and she tried to incorporate both. God, I wish I could remember what her name was and where I saw that. But I do remember seeing it and listening to the music she was creating, and it's very fantasy-based. And you know, she had the CD available and all this. I was like, wow, that's great. If only we could all, you know, create I mean, you make a profile of music for your book, but I mean, if it's copyrighted stuff, you're not going to be able to sell it. Not unless you have the permission of the artist, which you rarely get. You'd have to go through a company, and I'm sure that would be expensive. And so there you go. Unless you are the creator of the music yourself, if you are a musician yourself, why not? Try to incorporate both. You could even do it in your audios, you know, putting in the music. But remember, it has to be your own or something that is permission from the creative person. But that's why I'm not encouraging that. But I mean, wow, I mean, that would be helping a lot. So yeah, so music does seem to do the trick. That's my thought for the day. That's my little tidbit of where some of my books came from. I just thought I'd share that with you today, and we'll leave it at that. So until next time, for the next update, this is Jeff Walker signing off, and thank you for joining me for this, I guess, rant. I don't know. Take care. This has been a Jeff Walker's Books discussion. If you like this program, Please subscribe. And if you want to read more of his books, The Long Lost War, The Massive Planet, The Mysterious World of Professor Dark and Miss Shadow, please visit his website at jeffwalkerbooks.weebly.com. Please, if you feel the need to review one of his books, he would be ever so grateful that you would. You may go and visit it on Amazon or anywhere else where books are now available.